Hare Krishna Matajis, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I humbly welcome all Matajis gathered here this evening and allow me to convey my heartiest gratitude to all of you who have registered yourselves for this important event. Let us all welcome our speaker of the day, Her Grace Shama Mataji. A heartfelt thank you, Mataji, for accepting our invitation. It is certainly great fortunate to have your association this evening.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Prior to hearing from Mataji, kindly allow me to give a brief introduction about her. Her Grace Shama Mataji is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Swami Maharaj. She has been trained in Carnatic vocal music and Bharatanatyam since young. Mataji completed her Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Science and was a computer engineer by profession, and has worked at several NMCs like Adobe and HP before deciding to take up the more important duty of becoming a housewife, which is indeed a great inspiration to many women devotees in ISKCON. Mataji is married and she has two brilliant sons, Damodar and Chaitanya. She moved to Philadelphia, USA in 2010, subsequent to her marriage, and has served as a Sunday school teacher in ISKCON temple there. Mataji has also organized and directed children dramas and dance there. Later on, she moved to Bangalore in 2018 and was a part of the team that set up the Balagopal school in Bangalore and continues to teach Srimad Bhagavatam at the school. Mataji is also currently involved in teaching Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita to kids, apart from preaching to women and youth girls. By following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, Mataji has been exemplary in balancing her responsibilities as a housewife and mother. So let us all give a warm welcome to Mataji to speak on today's session, which is Kunti Stuti, learning humility through the prayers of Queen Kunti. Whenever you're ready, Mataji.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I don't know how much of it I deserve, really. All credit really goes to Srila Prabhupada for bringing all of us fallen souls, forgotten souls, to this, somehow in contact with this great mission. I'm so happy to be with all of you today and seeking all your association. It's my great fortune to have this opportunity to discuss Krishna Katha in all your association. Okay, without wasting much time, I think we can begin today's session, which is prayers of Kunti Devi or Kunti Stuti. And we can also try and learn humility through these prayers. Neither do I have much knowledge nor much humility myself, but I still dare to speak. That's for my own purification. At the same time, I'm desiring all your association, and I felt I was actually going to start reading Kunti Stuti myself. Somehow, coincidentally, I felt Krishna arranged this, and I grabbed this opportunity. So I may be able to internalize these concepts myself while I study this chapter. It was my rereading. Thank you so much. Om Jnanatimiraandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd like to begin this session with this prayer or a little bit of kirtan, which is one of the shlokas chanted by Kunti Devi herself in this stuti. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, I hope you all can see my screen. Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
All right, so just to give a background, Kunti Devi, why did she offer this particular prayers? Of course, as pure devotees, they're always prayerful continuously. There's not a single moment that passes by in their lives that they're not conscious of the Supreme Lord. However, this particular prayers was brought about in a certain situation. So after the Kurukshetra war, when most of the people were all dead, only a few were, only couple were remaining on the Kauravas side, and just the Pandavas were remaining. And Ashwathama had, killed the sons of Pandavas mercilessly. And then again, he went about releasing Brahmastra to kill all of them, and especially the baby within the womb of Mother Uttara. So this was none other than Parikshit Maharaj, and he would have been the only surviving Pandava or descendant of the Kuru, so to speak. So, and after praying to Lord Krishna, he, in the right time, he saved all of them. And now he was ready to leave, go back to Dwaraka, since his mission was all accomplished and it was all successfully done. He was about to leave to Dwaraka. So Kunti Maharani offers this heartfelt prayers to him. And here she is addressed as Prayana Bhimukham Krishnam Idamaha Pratha Sati. Sati, she is actually addressed as Sati. Sati has couple of meanings. Now, usually we hear of Sati for a chaste wife, but a Vaishnava devotee here in this Vaishnavi is also addressed as Sati because she's most chaste devotee of the Supreme Lord. That means never ever she deviates from her bhakti, and her unalloyed devotion is dedicated wholly and solely to Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and never ever, as she exemplified throughout her life, did she ever really depend on anyone else. And it was only to Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa that she completely surrendered and depended on his mercy. And this was obviously, it was reciprocated very nicely by the Lord too, and he's always ready to help his fully surrendered devotees. All right. So she begins her prayers, first of all, by glorifying the Lord. So this is the Vedic etiquette. Whenever we request something from a superior, what to speak of the Lord, we first of all need to glorify them, and then only submit humbly our request to them. So she glorifies the Lord, and this we can see, this theme we can see over and over again. Many devotees throughout Bhagavatam, they do that. One, to establish, of course, to glorify the infinite Lord is one thing, and then also to establish our own position, their own position as the devotee of the Lord, thus establishing that, you are the supreme infinite Lord, and I'm just this insignificant devotee of yours who's seeking something from you. So that's the etiquette. So then she first of all begins the prayer by saying, Namasye Purusham Tvadyam. So Namasye means I offer my obeisances to you, Purusha. Now, Acharyas have given so many explanations. I was telling Mataji earlier, each and every word of Kunti Maharani it's loaded with so much meaning, and it really has been so mind-boggling for me how to condense this whole thing to fit into 1 hour. And Acharyas also have given so many various angles of views, and such nectar has been churned out of this prayer. But anyway, I'll try to fit in how much ever I can. And so she offers this prayer by calling him Purusha. Purusha can mean male, just a male. So she tries to clarify that again. Wait a minute. So is he just an ordinary male? No. So she says, Tva Adyam. So you are the original male. Male. So that there can be, the original male can be taken as even Lord Brahma in this universe, because he's the original living entity. So she further clarifies by saying, no, not just that, you're Ishwaram. That means you're the controller. Okay, but now there are so many controllers, like Lord Shiva, Brahma, Indra, so many. That's why she says, no, you're not just the controller, you're Prakritehe Param. You are not one of this material world. You're not a part of this material world. You're beyond that. Your position is way, way higher than that. So that means you're completely spiritual. And then she says, Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam. That means you cannot be detected by any of the living beings. So now we can perceive something either by looking through our eyes, ears, nose, or we can even perceive something by intelligently guessing, okay, this person may be existing. But then our so that does that mean, all right, we have understood now it is not one of the created beings of this material world. So can this mean Paramatma, who is living in all our heart? Can it mean him? So, but then our acharyas say, actually one of great scholars of ISKCON, Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu, he mentions this. He also brings this up, saying Paramatma can still be detected using our intelligence, but not Bhagavan. That means, okay, so who is Paramatma? Who is Bhagavan? Okay, let us clearly understand. First of all, the Supreme Lord, the same Supreme Lord, is seen in three different phases by various transcendentalists or spiritual seekers. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaddanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. So the impersonalist jnanis who don't believe in a personal God, they perceive him just as an impersonal light. This is actually this race, that is the effulgent race of light coming out of Lord Krishna's body. Then the yogis who are meditating upon Paramatma within the heart, they perceive him as this the local manifestation. He's there in everybody's heart. He is there in the atoms too, as Paramatma. And then it's only the devotees, pure unalloyed devotees of the Lord, they can actually understand and perceive this Bhagavan who is living very, very far away in the material, in the spiritual world. So there is a very interesting example that was given by one of our ISKCON scientists. He was one of Prabhupada's disciples, Sadaputa Prabhu, you may have heard his name. He gives a very interesting example. I wanted to bring this up. How using intelligence, we can actually detect the presence of Paramatma. So there was this scientist earlier, a German scientist called Kekule, and this person, he was trying to find out the structure of a particular compound. It's called benzene. Those of you who are from science background may have heard the name. And he tried so many experiments and he tried basically to speculate, and he researched so much into this, but he couldn't come up with the structure, right structure. And then one fine day, he just dozed off, and he couldn't understand how this benzene actually looked like. And then when he dozed off in his dream, he actually saw that these benzene molecules, the atoms were dancing around in his mind. And then there was also a snake that was dancing around. And finally, the snake was swallowing its own tail. And then these atoms kind of formed a ring structure. Now you may be wondering, what has this got to do with Paramatma? Okay, now this is the point. He finally understood. He got his answer. After all that hard work he had done, he had not figured out. Finally, in his dream, he understood that, oh, this compound actually looks like a ring. The molecule looks like a ring, and later it became famous as the benzene ring structure. So now, how could he have come up with this while he was sleeping? He couldn't have come up with this solution while he was awake. Then how can he come up with this while sleeping? That is only possible by someone else's intelligence, someone else giving that knowledge to him, and that is actually Paramatma who's sitting in our heart. There are so many examples of many scientists suddenly getting some solutions, or even us, sometimes we suddenly come across some solutions or some thoughts, and that Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Matta Smritir Gnanam Apohanam Cha. So he gives us that intelligence, memory, and forgetfulness. So this is how we understand Paramatma can be tracked, but so Krishna is not just the Paramatma. Paramatma is just a portion of Krishna, but she's referring to not this Paramatma, she's referring to the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, absolute truth, Krishna. And that's how she clarifies. So even though you are sitting inside and outside and you're there, everywhere people cannot see you, people cannot perceive you. All right, on to the next verse. Okay, now then we can ask the question, why one cannot see him? And then she answers it in the next shloka. Maya Javanika Channam Agnadhokshajam Avyayam. So there are two reasons why. There are many reasons. It is primarily two reasons. First is there is Maya Javanika, means curtain of Maya energy. So the Supreme Lord has so many energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividha Iva Shruyate. So this Maya is basically, his energy is of two types. One is the material energy, another is the spiritual energy. So what this material energy does in the form of Durga Devi, she puts a curtain on the jiva. So we also cannot see because our spiritual vision is covered with this curtain. Secondly, there is another curtain that covers the Supreme Lord as well. This is stated in Ishopanishad. It says, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham. So because of this effulgence, glaring effulgence, that's, it covers his face. That's why the Gnanis, the yogis, they can't see him. It's only when a pure devotee wants to see him, or the Supreme Lord is pleased by his service, then that curtain is removed, and that is when he is revealed. So she says, Maya Javanika Channam Agna Dokshajam Abhyayam. So Agna means, of course, due to ignorance, we cannot see. The ignorance is because of the covering. And Adhokshaja. Now he's called as Adhokshaja. This word has such nice meaning to it. In Sanskrita, Adhakrita Akshajam Gnanam Yena. So this is Adhokshaja means, so anything that we can understand or perceive within this material world, it actually falls within the jurisdiction of the letters A to Z, right? That we all know. Whatever we can define, whatever we can understand through words, as in through our senses, you can say, it can all be expressed with letters A to Z. Similarly, in Sanskrita too, the letters A to Ksha. But he, Krishna, Ja means that which is born from these letters. But Krishna cannot be described or actually expressed by any of these letters, really. So it cannot be, in other words, he cannot be known by our material senses or even experimental knowledge. He's beyond that. That's what it means to say Adhokshaja. So Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita, avajananti mam mudha. So they cannot understand. These people cannot understand. And then now, first of all, you may be wondering, oh, aren't we supposed to be talking about humility? Why are we talking about all this philosophical knowledge? So firstly, by understanding everything in truth, the Tattva-gnana, we will understand our own true insignificant position compared to the Supreme Lord's infinite position. That is when, this is one of the aspects of humility. Actually, if you look up, Srila Prabhupada has given various definitions of humility, and they're all true. They all teach us various aspects of humility. Unless we understand how insignificant we are in front of this great, infinite Supreme Lord, we can never become humble. So that is the starting of learning humility. That is the start. And then, now, okay, fine, we cannot see. Then how can we understand you? How are we to know you? That she answers in the next shloka. She says, Tatha paramahamsanam muninam amalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanartham katham pashyema histriyaha. So she says, but we cannot perceive you, but you, that's why you come down yourself, you descend yourself to give bhakti yoga. It is not possible to understand the Supreme Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa by any other means. Everywhere it is said, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo na Medhaya na Mahuna Shrutena. So if someone is very learned, if someone can expertly speak about him by his vast intelligence, in any which way, it's not possible to know him. Then how can we know him? And Krishna also says this in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti amam abhijanati. It is only through bhakti he can be known. And that's why she says, you come, that is why you come to give bhakti yoga. But to whom? Those who are qualified, those who are purified, who have purified intelligence, like the Paramahamsas and Munis. Only those people can, who are exclusively engaged in your bhakti, they become perfect in bhakti yoga. Oh, then what about us, women? Now, Kunti Devi, of course, she's one of the topmost devotees, but she's taking such a humble position and playing the part of an innocent woman. So we see many statements like this repeatedly in the Shastras, that women are less intelligent and all that. So that we should not be discouraged by that, or we should not be taken as discriminatory. But again, by understanding our true position, we can become definitely humble. And see, there are pros and cons to everything in this in this world of material dualities. If there is a advantage, there's also a disadvantage. So it may seem to be a disadvantage, so to speak, but not really. We will see how much we do have, so to speak, an advantage being women also, especially to do bhakti. We will see how. And then, so because women are mostly, less intelligent means it doesn't mean materially we cannot have, we cannot be smart. So people usually mistake that. They think, oh, women are doing so well in different fields of career, and why are they called less intelligent? But this is a certain type of intelligence that the Shastras are referring to. This is the spiritual intelligence, or the moksha buddhi. So that usually, generally, women are not very much inclined to, or are not predisposed to understanding very high philosophical knowledge. But then, so she's saying, that is why she's saying, oh, then how are we to understand? But then Krishna clarifies this in Bhagavad Gita. Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepishu papayonayaha striyo vaishyas tatha shudra yepi tepi yanti param gatim. So even if someone is a woman or Shudra or Vaishya, no problem. They can all attain perfection. There is no discrimination whatsoever by surrendering to the Supreme Lord. So Srila Prabhupada very nicely brings up this point that, women may not be able to speculate or philosophize in a way big scholars or Paramahamsas may do, but they have an advantage because the Lord has blessed them with that simplicity of the heart. Immediately, mostly everywhere, all over the world, they immediately accept the superiority and they bow down. They don't really hesitate to bow down in front of the Lord or even the pure devotees. But for men, it is not very easy to surrender their male ego, so to speak. So, and that's why Prabhupada says the Lord actually sees the sincerity of the purpose. And, whoever is sincere and is very much inclined to serve him, they are surely given all the chance. And that's why Prabhupada says in all over the world, when there are any sorts of religious functions, we will see women assembling in such great numbers, more than men. So next, in next verse, this is the verse that I previously sung. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So I've just put the translation here. So again, these 5 shlokas, these 4 shlokas is a part of her glorification of the Lord, and she specifically adores this particular form of the Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Of course, in our Krishna consciousness movement, we are also very much devoted to Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. He is definitely the Swayam Bhagavan, but also no other form of the Lord is as approachable and as merciful as Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa in many, many ways. And we all know how Lord Rama, even though he was actually, a prince, so he was not really so very readily accessible to all the general masses like Śrī Kṛṣṇa was. Even though Krishna was born as a prince, but he, within no time, went to Rajabhumi, and he played as, an ordinary cowherd boy, enjoyed so many pastimes with all the village people of Raja. So that way he was much, much more accessible. And he was actually much more merciful than any of the incarnations, because one of the examples is given here that, in the Kurukshetra war, some people may think he was partial to the Pandavas, but the truth of the matter is our acharyas say that whoever saw him while leaving their body, almost everybody, they were all blessed with the transcendental destination. They all made it to the spiritual world, whether they were on Pandava's side or Kaurava's side. There was no distinction made. So that was his great mercy. All right, so we can move on to the next set of prayers. Now, there's one more verse of glorification. Number 22, I think it's not included. So, Namah Pankajanabhaya, Namah Pankajamaline. So, in this verse, she is basically talking about how beautiful the form of the Lord is. Every form is like a lotus. This makes him so distinct from all other beings. So, he has certain distinct marks on his lotus feet, and and his body, even on the navel, there's like a depression of the lotus flower. And there is a certain way we all know, once we take darshan of the Lord, we first of all start looking at the Lord's form from the lotus feet, and then we go up gradually. But here in Kunti Devi's case, because she was the aunt, she didn't want to embarrass the Lord by starting from the lotus feet. So she starts from the thighs, waist, chest, and then finally she comes back to the lotus feet. So she makes a full circle. And okay, next set of shlokas. Now she is remembering how the Lord saved she and her sons time and again. They were in so much distress. We all know that. So she says, how you saved us from, poison cake, and there was a great fire. And from this, we all know what happened in that assembly of gamble match. And finally, then Pandavas were sent to the forest. And then there was the Kurukshetra war. And every time, the Lord immediately actually saved them from these dangers. So it is noted that, in fact, Kunti Devi received more favor than Devaki, because even Devaki suffered because of her imprisonment by Kamsa. But that was once, it was for a long time. And then Lord Kṛṣṇa came and released her, and that's it. And then she was fine. But Kunti Devi's case was different. It was not just once, over and over again throughout how much they suffered. But then Krishna bestowed more favor on Kunti Devi, because in case of Devaki, she still had her husband with her. But Kunti didn't even have her husband, and initially, her sons were also very young. And so she had no other means to fall back on, no other protector, so to speak. So because she was in a greater danger, and Lord actually favored her more. This means that, when we go through a lot of difficulty and we go through a lot of calamities, it's a great opportunity for us to surrender more to the Lord and develop more attachment to the Lord. So that is why Kunti Devi actually says in next verse, let there be these calamities again and again. Now this is really heights of bhakti. First of all, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chaturvida bhajante mam sukritino arjuna artho artharthi jignasu gnani cha bhratarshava. So people who are pious, they come to Krishna during their distress, times of distress, and they pray to him. If they're not pious enough, if they go through too much calamity, they'll become even atheistic, and they'll stop believing in God. He does all this to me, why should I believe in him? But this is taking it to another extreme, so to speak. What to speak of praying so that we don't run into dangers, but she's actually inviting more dangers to come, because every time Krishna was there to save them so that they could be with him. And that means if they are seeing him, that means they are liberated automatically. And here also, this feeling of helplessness, this is more prominent in women. So these are all the advantages. Now we can see how we as women in current material, in today's day and age, to be dependent is actually looked down upon. Everybody wants to be independent, but that actually is going against our own spiritual nature as well. Okay, for one, considering us as women, we as women naturally have this a tendency to seek protection and to be dependent. Dependent in the sense we need protection. That's natural, you know. And then even as jivatmas, every jiva is actually feminine. So that way, if we hone these qualities, if we cultivate these qualities of depending on the Lord and nobody else, then we are actually coming closer to closer to our own spiritual nature. So this is considered really fortunate. That's what Srila Prabhupada also writes, this sense of dependence when directed towards the Supreme Lord. And this has been exemplified by devotees like Kunti Maharani, Draupadi, and all that. And when we feelingly, with utter helplessness, when we cry out to the Lord, even while chanting, actually acharyas say that the feeling is very important even while chanting. It should be like we are crying out to the Lord, like a small child who wants the help and protection of the mother. Then it works. It's not just mechanical chanting. Anyway, this is we need to cultivate, we need to practice that. And for women, this comes easily, not for men. Men are a little hard-hearted at times, but women can be more soft. So this is how we can actually take advantage of our womanly nature. Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru. That's what bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhavadarshanam. Seeing you means we no longer have to be in this material world. So what should we learn from this? Why do these pure devotees suffer so much? People like us, we suffer our own baggage of karma. That's no astonishment. But pure devotees also are made to suffer by Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Even Devaki, even though she was so elevated to be the mother of the Lord, she still had to, because that is just to show to us that nobody is exempt from the effects of this material world. This is dukhalayam shashvatam. It is certified place of suffering. So, but then how can we, even while suffering, then how can we make spiritual progress? Yes, the suffering, actually, material distress actually promotes sincerity in bhakti, so to speak. Whenever we can ourselves make this analysis in our own life, spiritual life, we can see whenever we have been really distressed and we have been successful in continuing our bhakti, we should not give up, but the quality of making that effort to reach out to the Lord, that will be very sincere. We can definitely see that we may have made more progress, so to speak, during those times of difficulty than when we are better place, so to speak. So our acharyas say also, we have to have full faith that the Lord is there to protect us no matter what. Rakshishyati iti vishwaso. Otherwise, there is no question of surrender. At the same time, and so suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one has to make spiritual progress. Then our liberation is guaranteed. There's no question about it. And knowing that we're all spirit souls, these calamities are not real. It is just like a dream. So when we become fully spiritually realized, it's like waking up from a dream, and then we'll see that was just a dream. It was really it is no issue, so to speak. It is only now, because we have not woken up to our real spiritual identity, we think this is all real. All right, now that's why she says, one who can really approach you very nicely, very sincerely. She says in the next verse, Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shridhir Edamanam Madapuman Naivarhate Abhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gochara. Who is really qualified to approach you is one who is not running behind these material opulences. Now, in today's day and age, especially, it's very, very prominent. Everybody is looking for some celebrities. Everybody looks up to either someone who is very rich, or someone who is very beautiful, or someone who is very well educated, or someone who is born in a big, illustrious, great family. So everybody wants these things. These are all most materially desirable things. But then, if we are trying to move in this direction, then we are making a big mistake, especially in spiritual life. Krishna, because to reach Krishna, we have to go in opposite direction by actually giving up our pursuit of all this. Or if we have some of these or any of these to some degree, everybody has it to some degree, but to whatever degree we have, we should at the same time not be proud of it. One who is proud of all these, then how can they even submit to the Lord? Again, we may be even chanting the holy name, but the quality, our Acharya says, is what really matters. So someone who's materially puffed up, they may not even be able to chant. But even if they do chant, it may be not very sincere. Again, here also, we have to have that feeling of helplessness, that we have nothing else to fall back on. Someone who is materially very well placed, he cannot have that feeling. So it's like a material disease, material fever. Like if you feed to the fever, and the fever is only going to increase, and it's not going to help. So if we are trying to run behind these, then it will increase the material disease. Better not to run behind and keep our life simple, simple living and high thinking. Then we will have more time, we will have more mental space and energy to even think about the Lord. And the material intoxication reduces, and more our illusion will also reduce, and we will become more sincere in our bhakti. All right, next. Again, now she again starts glorifying the Lord. She offers her obeisances. And she says, you are the property, akinchana vitta. Even in previously, also she said, you are akinchana gochara. Who can really see you? One who is not puffed up by all this. Devotees like, Goswamis, pure devotees, they exemplified this. How much wealth, how much they were in extremely good status in the material society. They gave up everything just for the interest of the Lord. And here also, one who has got nothing to do or give materially, he is akinchana. And Krishna becomes his property. One who has no material property, but he's only interested in the Lord, then Lord becomes his rightful property. And then she says, you are Shanta, because he is Atma Rama. He's fully self-satisfied because he's not hankering for anything. There is nothing attainable for him, because he has in himself everything to the infinite degree. So why does he have to even hanker for anything? And then he is beyond these three gunas or material nature. So he's fully satisfied, and therefore he's so gentle, he's Shanta. It is because we have the sense of lording it over this material nature. We want to control, we want to be in control, we want this, we want that, we're hankering. That makes us rough, that makes us not so gentle. The more spiritually we become purified, actually we'll become soft and more soft. And who can be more soft or gentle than the Lord? Because he is pavitram, he's the most pure, and that's why he's the most gentle as well. And then she says, you are the eternal time, you are the Kala, and he's the supreme controller. When we know that he is in control of everything, then we actually become peaceful. Because Krishna says this, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Natva Mam Shantim Ruchati. When we understand, so actually Prabhupada says this, how do we become serious and Krishna conscious? How can we always develop this Krishna consciousness? Is that we have to have this three things in our mind. Krishna is the supreme, he is the only enjoyer, and he is the supreme controller, he is in control of everything. And then he is our dearmost friend. Nobody can be as good a friend as him, and that means he is our dearmost well-wisher. When we understand this, then we automatically will not lament whatever happened or hanker, because we know Lord is in control and he is behind all this. Then there should be some reason behind all this, and so we come to terms with it. So it's all a practice. So we need to practice thinking that way. And then she says, but then people say he's partial to his devotees because he took the side of the Pandavas. That's why she says, no, you are equal to everyone. Whatever fights or whatever dissensions these living beings have, that's only because, in the social intercourse, when we interact with others, there will be some reactions to it. And then that's why nobody can understand your Leela, she says in the next verse. It's very difficult to understand. When people don't go through Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they will definitely get cheated. They won't be able to understand his Leelas. And that is why it is very bewildering, she says. Oh, Vishvatman, you are the soul of the universe. That means you're equal to everyone. You work also, although you're inactive. So how can we understand? So Krishna, when we say work, Krishna works. And when we work, two things come to the mind. Whatever we do, our work, we do something, anything to gain something. And then whatever we do, it will have a karmic reaction to it, unless we do it as an offering to the Lord. But it is not the case with Krishna. He neither does anything to gain, because what does he have to gain? He has everything. He's Avyaya. And then he cannot be touched by karma. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spraha. That he says in Bhagavad Gita. So karma cannot touch him. So that is why people cannot understand his leelas. And he descends among men, sages, aquatics, this all pervading Supreme Lord, he's there everywhere. And then he appears as Varaha, as a fish incarnation, as a human. So people generally can't understand. It's very difficult to understand how this is possible. And so she gives another example of astonishment, when how Supreme Lord, as a small child, Damodara, Krishna, how he was punished by Mother Yashoda. And he was so afraid because of that, that, this person, this supreme person, whom even the fear personified is afraid of, but he was afraid of Mother Yashoda. That means Lord Krishna's Leelas have very unique quality. They are filled with this pure devotion, pure affection of his devotees. It is not found, it is free from that reverential admiration. Here, Mother Yashoda, she was not conscious that the Supreme Lord of Krishna, this baby Krishna, was the Supreme Lord. And that's why she could take the liberty to punish him. But Kunti was not like that. Kunti was conscious that he's the Supreme Lord. That's why she didn't even she offers obeisances again and again. That's because she's conscious of his position. So that's why Mother Yashoda's position is much more exalted, because she's able to give Krishna more pleasure by chastising him, all with this pure love that is relished more by the Supreme Lord. And this kind of pure devotion, spontaneous, natural devotion, without that sense of reverence, this is displayed only by Śrī Kṛṣṇa, especially in Vrindavan. All right, so next she gives, so because undoubtedly it's very difficult to understand his leelas and his appearance, so many authorities have given so many descriptions why he appeared. So they have given many reasons why he appeared. So we all know, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya. That's what she says here. To glorify Yudhishthira, to please King Yadu, he appeared in his dynasty. Then Vasudeva and Devaki, they prayed so that he may come as their son. And then this is, and then next is to subdue the enemies. There was all these, the earth was overburdened by demoniac kings. So they prayed to Lord Brahma, the devatas, and that's why you came. But then she says, you dharma samsthapanarthaya. Which kind of dharma? The highest dharma, the bhakti dharma. Here she says, you appeared to rejuvenate this devotional service of Shravan, Kirtan, and Smaran, remembering, hearing, and even worshipping. So you came for this, and in order to attract the conditioned souls and inspire them to do this so that they can get liberated. So actually, this is the primary reason. The rest, other reasons are incidental. By the way, because he's come, he does other things, but this is the real reason. How do we know? In the next verse, she says, what is the result of doing this? So that's why she is emphasizing that. That means that is the real reason why he comes. She said earlier also, bhakti yoga vidhanartham, that to give bhakti yoga to this world, he comes. So she says, those, O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental glories, or even those who just take pleasure in seeing others doing so, they certainly see your lotus feet, and for them, they're easily liberated. Now, this is really the sum and substance of all instructions, whether it's Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtakam. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Continuously, Krishna says this is the formula. We have to keep on meditating. We have to keep on thinking about this. How do we do that? Continuously. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati kyaitan brahma bhoyaya kalpate. So this verse gives us graphically how do we get liberated. So it's like, I always think of it as an airplane. Airplane is beginning to take off. It's gaining momentum because it's running and running. It shouldn't stop. It has to run, and then at a greater speed and more speed, and finally it takes off. Similarly, we also have to do our bhakti practice continuously, every day, regularly. First it starts regularly, then every day, and then increase and more increase, and it should come to a point of continuous bhakti. Continuous. There is no other way. We have to note this down. And when we do that, we also take off. What does Krishna say? He says, Sagunan samatityaitan. Then we transcend this material modes, gunas. Then we attain the spiritual platform. Okay, then how do we do this, especially as women, right? It's a great challenge. We have so many duties to perform. Yes, we should not give up those duties. we have to, of course, pray to the Lord. Everything is possible. But even while we are executing our duties, we should try to mix it with some one of these angas of bhakti. What I mean to say that is, let's say we are cooking, we can be hearing to some lecture, or we are washing something, washing vessels, or taking care of the child. We can be chanting Hare Krishna, or we can be singing some bhajan. Either this way or that way, Shravan Kirtan has to be there, some element. Then we won't even get bound up with this karma. Yagnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. At the same time, our bhakti will also increase. Our heart will become purified, and we will surely get the Lord's mercy. And so it's a constant endeavor. We should pray. Supreme Lord will show us the way. And how is it possible to continuously chant? And finally, we have to come to the point of continuous chanting of the mantra Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because Shukadeva Goswami says that, of all types, so there are 64 limbs of bhakti, devotional service. Of those 64, 5 are the best, and of the 5, 3 are the best. Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran. Of these 3, Shravan, Kirtan, hearing and chanting is the best. Of these 2, chanting is the supreme most for this, especially Kali Yuga. And even among the chanting and of all these activities, hearing and chanting, especially chanting, we can say Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. We can be chanting any of these. But Shukadeva Goswami highlights, he says, Hare Namanu Kirtanam. So Nama Kirtanam, Hare Krishna Mahamantra especially, because this has been taught by our acharyas. If this can be done continuously, then we attain all perfection. This is the only way to it. And then, but how is it possible to continuously chant then? There is, again, a quality to it. Trinada pisunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanyanam manadena kirtaniya sadahari. By chanting with that humility and tolerance, then we are able to chant continuously. That is the way to do it. That's why now in the next verses, now we can learn nicely humility through Kunti's prayers. So she says, now that she wants to, this was her actual reason why she was praying to the Lord. She wanted to persuade the Lord to stop, not leave to Dwaraka, because they wanted to serve him and not enjoy his association. So she says, why it is not proper for you to leave us and go now, in these 4 verses. So she says, you have executed, you have done all your duties now. Now are you leaving us? Because all this, while we were in danger, you gave us your mercy. Now we are, we are completely dependent on your mercy, and no one else to protect us. And all the kings are at enmity with us. After the Great War, so many became their enemies. Many kings got killed. Their fathers, their sons, their grandsons who were living, they all wanted to fight back at them. So, see, this is really humility, because she's saying all duties were executed by you yourself. Now, she's not really giving credit to the Pandavas. Oh, they were such great warriors and so capable, pure devotees. But actually, it was the Supreme Lord who got everything done through them, that she understands. And that is humility, to give credit to the Lord and not to take upon us any credit. So, the perfection of life, Prabhupada says, is to become dependent on the will of the Lord. Completely, to become completely dependent on the will doesn't mean that we don't do anything and become idle parasites, but we do all our duties, but always understanding that we are ultimately dependent on his will. And whatever little we are able to do, it is only through his mercy. And then she says, As name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the soul. That means when a soul leaves the body, no matter how famous the person would have been, that fame was only related to the body. So now there is no more, it's all finished. Once he dies, nobody cares for that dead body. Similarly, if you leave us, then all our fame, activities, everything will be finished. So this is again another aspect of humility. Prabhupada says, when you are convinced beyond any doubt that there is absolutely nothing in this world, either your money, your fame, your power, nothing will save us except for the Lord. That is also humility. That means we are understanding how much we are dependent on him for everything. Actually, even after coming to Krishna consciousness, we should be sort of alert. We should be attentive to see that we don't do this mistake. We may also not take credit for things we have done. If we start doing that, then that's also non-devotee mentality. So we have to give credit to the Lord. Actually, everything is being done by the Lord. We can only be his instrument. So, and then she says, oh, our kingdom has been marked with impressions of your feet, and therefore it appeared beautiful. But if you leave, it will no longer look so beautiful. And then she says, all the prosperity they had, there was so much, the villages and the cities in the kingdom were flourishing, so much natural resources, grains and trees full of fruits, rivers, minerals, oceans full of jewels. And she says, everything is because of you. You're glancing over them. And this also, she's able to, she's recognizing that this is all due to the merciful glance of the Supreme Lord. So by following dharma, dharma is the foundation for our life. What sustains us is dharma. So when living beings, especially the rulers of the state, when they follow the order of the Supreme Lord, then the earth will give us so much prosperity in terms of the natural resources. And if they're not really following the dharma, then everything will be restricted. All the food shortage and water scarcity, everything is because of one reason: people not following dharma. And this is also another aspect of humility. Srila Prabhupada says, humility means to not hanker to be honored by others. My God, this is really a tough one. Everybody, especially in today's day and age, everybody wants appreciation. Everybody wants, if not fame, we want people to say nice things about us and appreciate us. But this is not at all humility. We should never be anxious. Amanina manadena. That means we should not be anxious for getting appraisal from others, but we should be anxious to praise others. That is manadena. We have to give that praise to others. That is humility. So now she's giving all credit and she's praising the Lord, and she's not really taking any credit for herself for any of their prosperity or success in life. And then, so Kunti Devi, so long she has been trying to persuade the Lord to stay back, especially now last few verses. But then now she's thinking, wait a minute, if I want the Lord to stay back, it's good for us and the Pandavas, my sons. But then if he stays back here, it's not really good for the Yadus, right? He's anyway been, Lord has been away from them for so long. It's not good for them. So she becomes very disturbed. She thinks, oh, see, now I'm being partial because of my tie of affection for my kinsmen. Even though Yadus are also related to her. So she becomes disturbed, and now she feels, she prays to the Lord, oh, Lord of the universe, because you're so great and you're actually equal to everyone, you cut off my ties of this familial affection. Then, I don't have to be this way. I don't have to be partial anymore, but then I can establish my relationship with you. So cutting off family ties, this is also misunderstood many a times. That doesn't mean that we become hard-hearted or we don't care for our family or our friends, like, before we were. Many a times some devotees are accused of that, that they cut off ties with everybody after coming to Krishna consciousness and all that. No, that is not the case. Actually, the finer sentiments can never be gone. In fact, we should become more affectionate, but then we should just increase our range of affection. It should not be limited only to our kith and kin, but great devotees like all the Goswamis, they left families, but they helped the whole family of the world. And they preached this Krishna bhakti to so many other living entities, and thus showed their compassion towards them. And then, so that is why she says, by cutting off these ties, she may not be diverted to any other object of attention. So she wants, again, she prays that, oh Lord, let all my attention be dedicated to only towards you. Let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else, just like the Ganga flows to the sea without any hindrance. So there's a beautiful verse. She concludes her actually prayers in this verse. The next verse is just about, she glorifies and she summarizes who Lord Kṛṣṇa is. So all this while, even though she wanted to persuade the Lord to stay back, but now finally she concludes, what does she really want? She says, I just want this continuous unalloyed bhakti. Again, that continuous unalloyed bhakti. So Ganga, when Ganga flows, she naturally flows to the ocean. Nobody tells her, nobody directs her, but somehow she finds her way. Despite so many obstacles or hindrances, there may be big boulders and mountains and forests, nothing can ever stop her. Similarly, our bhakti should also be one, unalloyed, because means it should be spontaneous, like, naturally Ganga flows to the ocean. It doesn't flow anywhere else. That is her destination. Similarly, we should come to a point, at least we should come to a point wherein we naturally ourselves, we want to do bhakti because we love doing bhakti, we love to hear, we love to chant. That spontaneous attraction is very important, because even because of that, Bhagavatam says this, all scripture says that the highest perfection of life is to attain this unalloyed devotional service. Why is that? Bhagavatam says that savai pumsam paro dharmo yatho bhakti radhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The way, how we as Jivatmas, how can we become fully happy, fully satisfied? We can never be satisfied with anything else. No dharma, doing pious work, artha, getting money, kama, trying to satisfy our material desires, or moksha, even aspiring for liberation. Nothing can really 100% satisfy the Jivatma. Only one thing can satisfy the Jivatma, which is its natural function. What is that? That is unalloyed and uninterrupted. Ahaituki apratihata. Ahaituki means there is no reason, no cause. It's not that, we have to chant these rounds, so we are chanting. No, that is not ahaituki. That is not spontaneous love. Oh, I have to go to temple. Oh, I have to hear katha. That is the beginning. We have to train ourselves to do that. But when that natural attraction arises, then there is no stopping. Then there is no stopping. No matter what hindrances, we will do. And Krishna will give us that mercy. We will be able to do bhakti just like Ganga. Despite so many hindrances, she will reach her destination like that. So this is the greatest perfection of our life, if we can attain this. And that's why she says, I let my mind, my attention never be diverted by anything else, and let me always constantly be devoted to you and serve you. And then finally, she says, she summarizes, oh Krishna, you are the chief among the Yadus, you are the friend of Arjuna. Because Krishna takes pleasure when he's actually related to his devotees. So, and then she says, you destroyed all these political parties and disturbing elements, and your prowess never deteriorates. You're the owner, proprietor of the spiritual world, and you descend to give pleasure and remove the distress of cows, brahmanas, and devotees. And you are the possessor of all mystic powers, and you are the teacher of the entire universe. Oh, Almighty God, I therefore offer my humble obeisances to you. So this ends the Kunti Stuti. And just one point to note here. So after Kunti Stuti, it is said Krishna mildly smiled, listening to her prayers, and then acknowledged her prayers and accepted her prayers. And then he started to move. Then Yudhishthira Maharaja, he prays to the Lord, and then finally the Lord accepts, and he stays back for some time, with them. And then later he goes to Dwarka. So does that mean Krishna didn't accept her prayers, Kunti Maharani's prayers? No, that is not the point. Even though she started praying to him to persuade him, but then see, her conclusion is different. Then she thought, all right, if he stays back, that may trouble the Yadus too. Anyway, so all I want is unalloyed and uninterrupted bhakti. I'll stop here. If there are any questions, I'm sorry I took up more time, because I think we started a little late too.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Dear Matajis, we are opening the question and answer session now. To those who would like to interact with Shima Mataji, please use the raise hand option provided in Zoom. We will allow you to unmute yourself. For those who do not know how to use the raise hand option there will be instruction given in the chat box. Okay, so there's no question. Thank you, the great Shama Mataji, for giving us such a wonderful and enlightening lecture. Thank you to all the participants too for your time and cooperation. A gentle reminder, kindly do help us to fill in the feedback form that is posted in the chat box. Your feedbacks are very much needed and appreciated. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much for the amazing session.
Thank you so much. I hope you all had a good session, and all the very best in your bhakti life too. And please give me your blessings too. It was my pleasure taking all your association. Vancha kalpatarubhishta kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.